Hey everyone, great to see you. Here we go. Welcome to Sending the Wolf. My name is Clarke Wolfe, and sorry I'm a little bit late, but I was just on YouTube, or excuse me, I'm on YouTube now. I was just on Instagram Live because I was like, oh, you know what? I think that there's a lot of people who maybe don't know that I'm doing this. And so let's go ahead and let people know what the heck I'm doing over here. We've got it's never a dull moment. And so please say hello in the chat. I love having you all here as part of the stream. Oh, and I didn't put my headphones on. Hold on. This is why I am not supposed to. Hi, hey Joseph Smith, Jedi Joe. This is why multitasking it helps if you have a plan. Which I had a plan, but then I very hastily executed it. And I should probably put my headphones on because we're gonna watch some trailers. That's right. It's a connected. It's a very pink day today on Sending the Wolf. Hi Kenneth. Kenneth says I've missed you and your voice. Love to see when you're on DC Daily. Oh, Supergirl. Gosh, wow. What a you know. I remember really liking the way that Supergirl concluded. I love Melissa Benoist, and also I love that she met her current husband on the show. They were so sweet. And they I loved their relationship though on the show. And it gave Tyler his opportunity to play Superman for the first time, and obviously Bitsy Tulloch playing Lois, and that just came to an end. The Arrowverse was such a special time in our pop culture world and landscape. But thank you for the question, Kenneth. Great to see you. And let's see, Andrew Thomas, hello. Oh, thanks for joining the Patreon. I really appreciate that. How lovely. Hi, another Mr. Lizard. Great to see you. Hi, Colibre. Great to see you. Hi, Alvi. Great to see you as well. Thank you all. Hi, Steven. Great to see you. Welcome. So as you all know, this is Sending the Wolf. This is my twice weekly live stream. Hi, Nicholas. Great to see you. Yes, the monkey. We will be watching the Red Band trailer for sure. So get ready. And I have pulled for us trailers for the monkey and for Until Dawn, and I haven't watched either of them. I wanted to watch them with you all, and so here we are, and we're gonna watch them. Big movie news day today. Let me get and I didn't pre-pull all of my tabs because I don't know. I guess I was doing other things, like walking my dog and doing an Instagram live. Rufus says hi. I finally got him to eat. That was good news for us. I don't know if any of you all have older dogs, but they get stubborn, and Rufus is no exception. Hello again, Steve. Great to see you. Hi, Vincent. Been watching since Collider Nightmares, and Schneff went off on the Friday the 13th reboot with Jason's dad. R.I.P. To our favorite sweaty John Schnepp. We love you. We miss you. Yes, Collider Nightmares was such a fun show. I love talking about general pop culture, and that's what we do on Sending the Wolf, and trying to expand what it is that we talk about. But you know that there will always be a little special place in my heart for all of our horror news. So thank you for joining. And if any of you all are new and this is your first time here, welcome. Yes, me too, Ronan. Me too. For any of you, if this is your first time here, thank you for hopping on, especially since, just from Instagram Live. If you haven't already, please go ahead and hit that little heart or the subscribe button, because it really helps. Hey Stephanie, so glad you had a chance to pop in too. Thank you for being here. All right, let's do a little housekeeping up front. What do I have to tell you? Oh, yes, I do have something to tell you. So, okay, first things first. So far, not a ton of new activity in terms of the fires out in Los Angeles. So that is great news. No news is good news. I think we are out of our extreme wind warning. And I think we're expecting another one next week, but for right now, it does seem like containment on the existing fires is happening, and so that's always great. Really happy about that. Please continue to support in any way that you can, whether it is the Red Cross or honestly just checking in on your friends and loved ones, and or donations of some of all kinds. I know there are a lot of like Amazon wish lists, so if you're from afar there are ways that you can contribute, like diapers or toiletries or things like that. And as always, people have Substacks, Patreons. Give them a like, give them a follow on the socials, on all of that. You know the drill. Oh, speaking of, um yeah, so that's actually a really great alert. Is that partial repopulation, access to the following evacuation order zones is open to residents only. So that's great news. So people are about to start being able to get back to their homes. So that's great. We love to hear it. Okay. As also a reminder, Malum is streaming on AMC Plus and Shutter. Please watch it. And then, yes, last night. So last night, I am in Los Angeles right now. As you all mostly know, I split my time between Atlanta and LA, and right now, last couple of months I've been in LA. And yeah, just got the watch duty. Yes, it's right. It's good. It's good. It's good news. That's good news, and we'll take it. So last night here in Los Angeles, my friend Josh Miller, screenwriter, podcast host, hosted a screening of the 2020 horror movie Underwater, starring Kristen Stewart, directed by William Eubank. And that was really fun. I don't know about you all, but I had never seen the movie. But it's always one of those movies that sort of pops up in sort of that like unseen gems, like kind of like underappreciated movie gems kind of thing. And so I was really excited to watch it, and I was mostly spoiler free. Like I knew that there was an element of, I knew a bit of what the surprise was that was going to be coming, but at the same time, there was other surprises that I did not know were coming. So I'll leave it at that. If you can like, go in blind, I think that that's fun. But what I will say is it was like the descent underwater is how I would describe it. And if y'all know me, you know that I love the descent. So anyway, that said, it was great. It was a great opportunity. The screening was gorgeous. The sound and the screen, it was it was a DCP, so it looked great. And William Eubank, the director, was there, and his conversation with Josh afterwards was so insightful. Did it come with it? Yeah, I will say another Mr. Wizard, or Mr. Wizard, another Mr. Lizard. You know what's funny is TJ Miller being all over that movie. I was like, wow, like nothing dates this movie more than just TJ Miller being all over the movie. Here's something I didn't know. Apparently, they shot Underwater in 2017. So it was kind of this like big William told the story at the Q&A where he was like, of course we got Kristen Stewart, and that was like a huge get for us. But then TJ Miller was so hot at that moment. Silicon Valley had come out. He was like a breakout star, and so we went to dinner, and getting him to say yes that he would do this movie was like a huge get for us. And I was just like, wow. And so, yes, Mike Joyce, exactly. To your point, basically, they talked a little bit about why it was sat on the shelf for so long, and it really came down to Disney buying Fox. And it wasn't like anybody was like against it or had a problem with the movie. It was more just that it was this acquisition. People didn't really know like what it was at Disney. But then he said that word kind of got around like, oh, we have this movie on the shelf that's actually really great. And so some folks at Disney, they found it, and they kind of were like, okay, yeah, let's revisit this, let's talk about getting this out there. But they didn't spend a ton of money on promotion. And William talked about how this is a fun trivia fact, that Underwater is the last movie to ever appear with 20th Century Fox as the banner. It was the last 20th Century Fox movie, which I was like, wow, that's so fascinating. And then, of course, comes out in January of 2020. People are already kind of talking about COVID. And then, of course, March 2020 rolls around. So but it is starting to have this second life, and that's really cool. In Santiago says, I think Underwater would be a nice double feature with Life. And you know what? I thought that exact same thing last night. Great minds, for sure. Yeah, but I enjoyed watching it. I'm really glad I got to see it on such a great, like in such a great environment. And the thing that I really took away from that was just, or from the biggest conversation, was how enthusiastic and like how fun it was listening to William and Josh talk. It was really, really cool. And oh, but the other thing that I thought was really neat, that sort of industry adjacent that Josh pointed out, was the idea of how at that time, especially in 2017, horror was so defined by like Blumhouse and by these small, $5 million or under budget horror movies. And so he kind of asked about, well, how did you, uh, let me look this up. Fox. They were like, how did you, he kind of said, like, how did you get this sort of mid-level horror movie made? And he said, we had an executive, we had Peter Schaefer, who just really, was a huge advocate for us and for this type of movie. And so I was like, wow, that's really cool. So it was a Peter Schaefer. Is that right? Peter Chernin. Sorry. Peter Schaefer is a playwright. Peter Chernin. Excuse me. I misspoke. But anyway, this is to say, great conversation. Really fun chat. Underwater, they don't make them like they used to. And that's all I'll say. What do we got here in the chat? A lot of talk about David Lynch. We will get into it. I see you, Andrew and Vincent, for sure. Let's see. Nicholas says, really need to see Underwater again. I saw it when I worked for Redbox and I really was mixed on it. I wonder if I would like it more on a rewatch. The one thing that I will say, and it was interesting because William addressed this last night. So I won't give a full spoiler, just give you a little and I'm under the impression actually that this is in the trailer. So it's not as though I'm going to spoil anything, but I'll keep it very vague. As I said earlier, the movie felt to me like The Descent underwater. So if you have seen The Descent, you know that there are creatures in The Descent. That's all I'll say. So of course you have the human drama, you have the human element of being the tension between characters, but then you also have the idea that in The Descent, these girls are spelunking, they're cave diving, and so of course, like all of those elements are already terrifying. Claustrophobia, the caves kind of coming in, running out of oxygen, whatever it is, right? But then if you add a little bit of a horror element, traditional horror element on top, it's like all these things kind of come together. I think Underwater is very similar. You have this group of people, they're in an underwater sort of facility, it collapses, they are fighting for their lives, they're in the suits, the scuba suits, they're having to all that stuff, right? That's scary enough. But then if there is a creature, you have that on top of it, right? Okay, here's why I'm telling you this. The one thing that I felt like the movie needed, and I think using The Descent as a comp is a really good comp, is The Descent works so well because you start with the girls and you really get to know these women and you really get to know their dynamics. They feel like real people. They have backstories with one another. They have history and so on and so on. The one thing that Underwater doesn't have is it just jumps in. Like we meet Kristen Stewart. We're with her in silence, brushing her teeth, observing this little spider kind of walking around for about 2 minutes. And then boom, the first thing happens, the action starts, and then we're just thrown in. I like that in theory, but the thing is, I will say that if you're going to be invested in these characters like you are in Alien, right? That's another reason Alien works so well. You get to know the crew really, really well. You know, you get to know their personalities, you get to see all of the dynamics between them so that when the alien kind of or the xenomorph kind of comes into play, you have a basis for their relationship. So Underwater doesn't have that. And I do feel like the movie kind of suffers as a result. Now, here's what's interesting. Last night during the Q&A, this came up and basically Williams said, well, what was they that basically okay, the team they were going to do a reshoot where they show the team kind of coming into this lab on the or the facility on the first day. They're all kind of arriving together, they're getting to know each other, you establish the dynamics. But it was a question of, okay, are we going to redo this creature? I won't say what the creature and what all of that is. Are we going to redo it and invest in those visual effects and sort of put that money in there? Or are we going to take the money and put it into this reshoot where we shoot a couple of scenes with the cast? And ultimately, William decided, you know what, let's put it into the creature. I totally understand that decision. But at the same time, to your point, Nicholas, is a long way of getting to. I did feel like, you know, that was missing for me. So I'll put it in there. Or put that out there. Let's see. Nicholas also says, they say Ford versus Ferrari was the last Fox movie when it's obvious Underwater was the last one. Yeah, that is according to William, that is the trivia. Hey, Chris, great to see you. Oh, fixing to see the Wolfman tonight. I'm going tomorrow. I have my ticket. Oh, which reminds me, I probably need to reschedule my ticket, but I am going tomorrow. Harley Quinn season 5 premiere. I see you, Joseph Smith. Yes, I'm so behind on Harley, and in fact, I just got kicked off of my HBO. I gotta get all that worked out. Remind me of Alvi says, remind me of the movie Pandorum or The Descent. Yeah. Steven says, trapped in the narrow tunnel was the scariest part of The Descent. M. Santiago says, Underwater was my introduction to Jessica Henwick. Love her. The inciting incident is so fast. Stephanie says, did I watch Night Country? Hell yeah, I did. What did you think? And Joke Riddler says, Underwater was terrifying for me. I've always had a phobia of the ocean, deep ocean. I loved it. Yeah, I mean, really scary stuff. Stephanie, I did watch True Detective Night Country. I really, really liked it. I really liked it. It's funny. When Night Country premiered, I think I had seen like, you know, only the first episode was out. And there were very, very specific callbacks to True Detective season 1. I went back and I rewatched True Detective season 1, which by the way, nobody ever needs to twist my arm to do. I love that. I love that first season. I think it is so like it's so airtight. It's so good. Just really everybody firing on all cylinders and just knocking it out of the park. So actually though, that gave me a real appreciation, more of an appreciation for Night Country, because I felt like it was Night Country can totally stand on its own, like stand on its own 2 feet, but at the same time, it's you know, it does tie back so beautifully to season 1. And as a fan, I kind of think that that's the best way you're going to handle an anthologized series with like world building, is just those loose threads that give you that enhance the experience, but they don't define the experience. So for me, and it's also part of the reason, and I mean, you know, I don't think we need to, all I'll say is like when Nick Pizzolatto was so angry about Night Country, which now is winning all the Emmys and all these awards, especially for Jodie Foster's performance. Like when he was so mad and he was like, "This is not True Detective." I was like, "Girl, Issa Lopez is more faithful to True Detective than some of your future seasons." You know what I'm saying? I just was like, "Girl, you need to get over yourself." But nonetheless, I really enjoyed Night Country. And yeah, thought it was a lot of fun. Stephanie says it took me a while, but we did finally watch it and I enjoyed it so much. Also agree about season 1. Hi, Stephen Keller. Great to see you. Da, da, da. Mildly disappointed, says M. Santiago. Yeah, I mean, look, I do think that True Detective season 1, this is the other thing. When you're going to sort of very explicitly hat tip or nod to True Detective season 1, especially the Tuttle cult and all of the stuff that kind of the King in Yellow and all of that, I think that you do kind of have to there was there was a violence, or there was like a tension and a madness that kind of comes along with all of that I think they really they focus on in the first season, whereas Night Country is more referencing it. And so I do see how setting up the parallel and the expectation could feel a little disappointing, but at the same time, I really enjoyed it. Speaking of The Descent, another Mr. Lizard says, which ending of The Descent do you prefer, the American happy ending or the UK one? I mean, I definitely prefer the UK one. What I will say too, I'm going to point you to another podcast, and that is the podcast Like It's dot dot dot, which started as podcast Like It's 1999, but now they do different decades and different like sub themes. Hosted by Phil Iscove and Emily St. John's. And I actually was on back in October for their Halloween episode talking about The Descent. We did like this wonderful hour-long deep dive into The Descent. And that was really, really fun. So if you're interested in that, like definitely give it a watch. It was really fun. Yeah, Mike Joyce says Severance premiere, Harley Quinn premiere, the Silo finale, great day for TV. There's a lot of fun, like there's a lot of fun TV stuff here. And then Chris says, also saw that Supergirl has started filming. What are your thoughts on the upcoming film and their casting? I mean, here's my thing. Honestly, I don't feel like I can say anything about Supergirl because I haven't seen Superman. I feel like obviously so much of what we do and we talk about like this movie news and things like that is we talk about it's speculation, right? But I don't think I can even make informed speculation until I see Superman. All I'll say is that I think James Gunn is ridiculously talented. I don't think that that's a secret to anyone. Actually, wait a minute. Am I crazy? Who's directing Supergirl? Who is Craig Gillespie? Oh, that's wonderful. Actually, is that true? Is that right? So April was a yes, and if it started, yeah, it's still on IMDb. Oh man, that's great. Love, love, love Craig Gillespie so much. That's awesome. And here, a little bit. We go. Hello. Also, I didn't think that I was realized, is Jason Momoa confirmed for Lobo? Like, is that for real, for real, for real? Yes, it is. Oh, that's even better. Okay, to be fair, that news came out on December 30th, 2024. I was trying to enjoy the last days of I was trying to enjoy the last days of my holiday. That's awesome. I love that. I mean, it should have always been that way. Although I love Momoa as Arthur Curry, or as Aquaman. This is a very aquatic adjacent stream. Yeah, Lobo, I agreed, Stephanie. I mean, Lobo is a wild character. Like such a fun and Jason Momoa, I more Jason Momoa having fun. I want more fun from Jason Momoa. I am of the opinion when I saw Fast X, I know that his portrayal was divisive. I know that his choices were divisive. Loved him. Loved him in Fast X. I thought that was exactly what that movie needed. Like 1000%. Everybody is so serious. And by everybody, I'm looking at you, Vin Diesel, and Jason Statham, and Dwayne The Rock Johnson. Very serious. Charlize is having fun. Like everyone else is having fun, and I feel like he just was a wonderful foil. So more Jason Momoa having fun. Love him as Lobo. This is so fun. It's so cool. Let's see. What else do we have here? Chris says, hoping that Martian Manhunter is in the movie too. That would be really fun. I gotta tell you, I still y'all know I loved the Melissa Benoist Supergirl, and I just thought that like David Harewood and Melissa Benoist and Kyler Lee as that little family, I just was like, oh, I love it so much. It's my favorite portrayal of Martian Manhunter I've ever seen. I just love David Harewood so much. Yeah, not so subtly teased that he would play Lobo. I mean, and of course, like I feel like we were talking about this honestly in the DC Daily days. Like, yes, of course, Aquaman is this huge billion-dollar movie. It's a huge success. Jason Momoa is Aquaman. But I feel like even then we were all kind of still talking about like, well, could he also play Lobo? And the answer is yes. Yes, plus Lobo riding a space motorbike up and smoking a cigar is up Momoa's alley. I mean, truer words have never been spoken. Yeah, and then Mirror Domains asked about Minecraft. You know what? Here's the thing. I love Jason Momoa and Jack Black together. This is I need more of that. I Every time I watch that Minecraft trailer before a movie, I'm like, I don't know about this movie, but I do know about Jack Black and Jason Momoa together, and I need more of that. Um, let's see. Yeah, M. Santiago says it's close to J.K. Simmons as J. Jonah Jameson in terms of perfect casting. Totally agree. Momoa understood the assignment in Fast X. I mean, I totally also agree. Nicholas says the beauty of Supergirl is that you don't have to see Superman to understand she is his cousin. And as much as a mess as it may be, I was a big fan of the 1994 film. Yeah, I grew up watching the 1994 movie as well. As you guys know about me, like the DC cinematic universe has been a part of my life since since I was born, quite frankly. I grew up, I think I've said this many times online, but Superman came to my third birthday party. I'm a very big like cinematic and TV universe DC person, but I don't know if Supergirl like aged as well. Although I do think Faye Dunaway is honestly, I think she's incredible in that movie. Anyway, okay, what else do we have here? Um, the new one is going to be even better just on the basis of who's directing it. Craig Gillespie is a wonderful choice. I am such a fan of his work. And I just think I do think it's very telling in terms of tone. Like, okay, let's give an example. Let me share my screen real fast. Hold on one second. Jason Momoa for Lobo. Share. Wait a second. IMDb. Here we go. Supergirl. Here we go. Okay. So Craig Gillespie. I mean, I think this is really, really cool because he has such a great sense of humor. He's directed so many absolutely incredible female performances. Um, no, wait a minute, director. Uh, like, wait. Oh, I forgot that he did Pam and Tommy. Oh yeah, Physical, great. Cruella, obviously. I, Tanya, yes. Um, I think that this is really cool that he can. Oh yeah, and Fright Night. What am I thinking? I totally forgot about Fright Night. United States of Terra. Yeah, so this is to say that like maybe this version of Supergirl too. Oh, I forgot to share my screen. Maybe this version of Supergirl is going to be a little different than maybe what we expect of Supergirl. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. Yes, M. Santiago, I want more. I want Jason Momoa to join Jumanji. 100%. Uh, what else? What else? He did direct Dumb Money. I think you're right. Isn't that yeah, here you go. Oh, right. I'm not sharing. Sorry, y'all. Hold on a second. There we go. Yay. So anyway, love this. Love this news. Shall we talk a little bit about David Lynch real fast? Let's talk about David Lynch. R.I.P. Sadly, it was announced today that David Lynch passed away. David Lynch is just a prolific and iconic storyteller, film, television, just so truly unique, such a visionary. Um, you know, get out of here, sponsored post. And I was saying this on Instagram just a couple of minutes ago, but you know, I had a friend who visited David Lynch's meditation sort of establishment in Los Angeles when he was getting ready to go to medical school. My friend was about to go to medical school. He was trying to get into pre-medical school. It was a total career shift for him. And he had been out of school for a while, so he became a doctor later in his life. And he went to the David Lynch school for meditation because he was like, I have ADHD. It's very hard for me to sit still. It's very hard for me to study. And I know that this is going to be a big part of, of this new chapter in my life. And so he visited them and hey Armada, and they said they were so warm and welcoming to him. And so and he said that it was just a wonderful experience. I think they offered him a session like completely for free. And I just remember this story. Like, obviously, David Lynch is known for so many things, whether it is Twin Peaks or, Mulholland Drive or Blue Velvet or The Elephant Man, pick something. And he's also known for his wonderful like quips and like things that he says when he talks about art and making art and life. But I'll forever think of him through the story that my friend told me about like how compassionate he was and the people who worked for him at the meditation center were. And it's just really it's really sad. It's really sad. Let's see. Powerton says, I love David Lynch. His work is so iconic. Weirdly, what I watched today to honor him was to see him in The Fablemans. I mean, yeah, just a really incredible presence for sure. Vincent says Elephant Man, Blue Velvet, Wild at Heart, and Mulholland Drive are some of my favorites for sure. Mirror Domains. Also watching The Fablemans, and Joseph Smith saying rest in peace, Blue Rose. Another one of my favorite, Lost Highway is a favorite, but I need to revisit Mulholland Drive. Yes, we've lost a lot of people today. You're right, Kenneth. Um, uh, and also it's John Carpenter's birthday today. We just had like a really big day today. The Straight Story, ZSH says he's physically built absolutely perfect. Oh, we're still on Jason Momoa. Although that would be funny if David Lynch was playing Lobo in the DC cinematic universe. Alvi says David Lynch was such a unique voice. I let's see, was obsessed with Twin Peaks when it first aired. Gishgali says, I think Blue Velvet let a lot of us small towners know it was okay to let our freak flag fly, for sure. The other thing that I'm pretty sure Wild at Heart is loosely based on The Wizard of Oz, correct? Pretty sure. And correct me if I'm wrong, chat, but I'm pretty sure that's what it is. And one year I had the opportunity at the Egyptian to see a double feature here in Los Angeles, to see a double feature of Wild at Heart and The Wizard of Oz. And boy, oh boy, did that just absolutely rule. It was such a cool double feature. And love, y'all know I love Nicolas Cage. Just such a big fan. And I love Laura Dern. Dern collaborated with him multiple times. And yeah, watching the double feature was really fun. But I think at the end of the day, what is so like what I think we're all going to remember about David Lynch is his curiosity, his intellectual curiosity, his creative curiosity. And I was just listening to a series on the Black Dahlia murders in Los Angeles, and David Lynch was so obviously there. That's such a the Black Dahlia story is such a part of not only Americana, but like the dark side of Americana, but also Los Angeles like lore. And David Lynch obviously really influenced it, by those murders and by LA of that time. The other thing I'll say is that I haven't seen Pig yet, but it's so funny. I was flipping through the channels I was trying to figure out what I wanted to watch the other day to Gish Golly, and I was like, I should watch Pig. Scully told me he gives me such a hard time. I know I need to watch this movie, but I think I ended up watching nothing, to be fair, because that's how this always goes. Didn't Wild at Heart win the Palme d'Or that year? Actually, I don't know that piece of trivia. We can look it up for sure. Anyway, oh yeah, and Willem Dafoe, that's right. Just such a great cast in Wild at Heart. Anyway, the other thing that I'll say is that I had the opportunity to be on set with David Lynch's daughter, Jennifer, and watch her direct. And I do have to say that the joy with which she approaches her work and all of that, it was just so wonderful. It seems like they are a really interesting family and of creatives and weirdos, and he will be missed. He will be missed. All right, y'all. What's next on my little list here? Let's move on. We've got a lot more news and things to talk about today. Oh, well, I did want to just sort of quickly share about a little Alien Romulus 2 update. Because we were talking about Alien the other day. Special envoys into Hollywood. I know, right? I have so many very strange stories for sure. A lot of love in the comments too for David Lynch's Dune. And watch the new trailer for The Monkey. I know, y'all. Well, do you want to do that first? Should we watch that and then we'll get to Alien Romulus 2, which is such a funny way to say it, by the way. Let's do it. Let's do The Monkey. Are y'all ready to watch The Monkey? Because it is a Red Band trailer, and I cannot tell you what's in it because I have not watched it yet. Saved it. This is just like our Fear HQ Fearcast days, because I never watched the stuff early then either, so that we could all experience it together for the first time. Okay, wait, I need to get my tabs situated. Okay, there's an F-bomb in the trailer. All right, so hide your kids. Don't let them hear the naughty words. Okay. Here we go. I'm excited. I'll turn it. I don't want to blast your ear.
Everything okay up there?
Yeah, everything's fine.
Oh, that's odd. I don't remember locking this.
You wouldn't have to remember if my aunt had a wind-up toy monkey at the yard sale.
Oh, not a cherished childhood memory now, was it?
No, 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 no! The coroner said it was an accident.
Oh my God. Okay, I paused it. I'm sorry. I paused it, but y'all, I already love this trailer. This is already wonderful. This is already right up my alley and really, really funny.
But it was no accident. It was a monkey.
Neon crushing it.
When I
with
was a
her
kid,
ads, by the way.
my twin brother and I found something that loved to kill. I did everything I could to make it go the fuck away.
Yep.
But it had other plans. Hello, brother. Bill. The monkey that likes killing our family. It's back. It must be vanquished. Why don't you vanquish it, huh, Bill? Wait! We have been chosen to witness its power over life and death in its most devious ways.
It's a toy monkey?
It's evil. It's basically the devil.
Everybody dies. And that's life.
Oh God. Oh my gosh.
Oh, fuck.
Really fun. That's really good. That's a great trailer. Theo James, you know, I was like, is that really Theo? Like, is that Theo James? And it sure is. Love this casting. I mean, just love that casting for Theo James. That's awesome. February 21st can't get here soon enough. Totally agree. The empty man just that's great. Great trailer. Yeah, love the use of Let the Good Times Roll in the trailer. So creepy. Yeah, I mean, this is like, you know what it is? Hey Amra, good to see you. You know what I think it is that that makes this work is knowing exactly what this movie is. It always helps. I also am of the opinion, like if you read enough Stephen King, you realize that he can write very, very silly things. He can write very scary things, but he can write silly things. And I think a lot of that is intentional. And I think a lot of people are so hung up on the scary that they miss the silly. And obviously, like not all of his, you know, stuff is silly. Some of it is quite serious. But yeah, I think that a lot of people have not been able to truly like find the balance with Stephen King's work in terms of the humor. And so it does seem like Oz is really sort of nailing that tone and the blend of that tone right now. And then the other thing I was going to say is that yeah, M Santiago says his short story The Lawnmower Man is absurd, right? There's a great episode of How Did This Get Made where they talk about The Lawnmower Man, the movie, and then they kind of delve into the notion that like the script of The Lawnmower Man that they said was Stephen King's The Lawnmower Man had nothing to do with it. It was like they had the rights to the story and then they had this other script. And so they just sort of merged them, and Stephen King sued to take his name off of it because he's like, this has nothing to do with my story. But anyway, I bring this up because I think that Stephen King's short stories are actually really, really wonderful premises for movies, because a lot of times I think his novels, they're so intricate and there's so much going on in the full-length novels that it's very hard to capture everything in a 90-minute to 2-hour feature. Like for instance, you know, I think the one that started it all, Carrie, Brian De Palma's Carrie, I think is a really, really good adaptation. But if you've ever read the book, and like I remember being shocked when I finally read the book that there was all of this like trial stuff. There was all of this, they go to trial. The survivors of Carrie's massacre like are talking, and there's a lot of newspaper clippings, and all of that is just rightfully so stripped from the Brian De Palma movie. And but I kind of was like, yeah, you have to really pare down the novels. And I think that the short stories are great fodder for like just fun 90-minute movies. Let's see. Jeff Fahey, yeah, for sure. Okay, I stopped. Another Mr. Lizard says, I stopped reading Stephen King at the end of The Dark Tower. I had had enough. I mean, that's fair. Listen, I'm in a book club called the Losers Book Club, which kind of we aspire to read Stephen King every other month. And we've talked about he doesn't always know how to stick the landing. And granted, as a writer, it's hard to stick the landing, but like Stephen King feels like particularly egregious at that. Let's see, calling that movie Stephen King's The Lawnmower Man would be like making The Shining and making it about beach volleyball. Hilarious. Stephen King. Andrew Thomas says I prefer Stephen King's Rose Red. It is an underrated miniseries. Rose Red is in my queue, Andrew, to read. That one, and also Bag of Bones. So right now, and also I have my friend Henry in my book club. Hold on, I'm pulling it up because it's in my library app. So Revival. My friend Henry loves Revival, and we were just talking to Thomas. Let's see, Thomas Del Ovol. Oh, hold on, I'm messing it up. We were just talking to a wonderful author who wrote the book Echo and wrote the book Hex, which I love. And this is to say that he was like, no one talks about Revival. So Revival, Bag of Bones, these are all in my queue for sure. Len says, I watched the first teaser for The Monkey when it came out about 3 months ago, and now I'm avoiding watching all other trailers. So excited for it. It's funny. I don't usually watch trailers. I do it for shows. But same. I try to go in as blind as possible. But I think when you go to the theater and you see movies, you're just like, it's inescapable, right? Stephanie says, I enjoy Stephen King's short stories more than his novels in general. I love that. That's a fun take. Andrew also likes the miniseries versions of It and The Shining. Love Steven Weber. Fun fact, if you're an audiobook person, for my money, Steven Weber reading It, he is the narrator for It, is the definitive way to experience that book. It is just like, he is such an incredible narrator. And then the second place for me is another Stephen King book, which is read by Bronson Pinchot, called The Eyes of the Dragon. And this is where Gishgali tells me that he loves Mindhunter, and the narration is like his favorite, right? I always bring up Steven Weber, and then I bring up Bronson Pinchot, and then it is the audiobook for Mindhunter. Yes, so Mirror Domain says they're adapting The Talisman now. Talisman is one that I could not get into. I don't like it. I'm in the minority, I know, but allegedly the Duffer Brothers doing that one. Oh man, yeah. Alvi says, I've been wanting to read Dolores Claiborne. A girlfriend of mine who's like literally read every Stephen King book ever. She loves Dolores Claiborne. She always kind of shouts that one out. Mirror Domain says, Clarke, did you like Pet Sematary remake and prequel? Okay, so actually, I always have to give a little bit of a disclaimer because I am close friends with Dennis Widmeyer and Kevin Kelch, who directed the Pet Sematary remake. But that said, I actually really do like it. I think people are really hard on it. I also think, side note, I don't think that Pet Sematary has ever been properly adapted because it needs to be a miniseries. Like, Stephen King has kind of famously said that he thinks that's the most dark and scary pretty much of everything he's ever written is Pet Sematary. And I know for a long time, Guillermo del Toro talked about how he wanted to make Pet Sematary series or show or movie or adaptation. I think Pet Cemetery needs to be a mini series. It needs to be a limited series. There is so much material. There's so much great. We were talking about this the other day, actually, about how we were talking about it with Welcome to Derry. So how for me, I love the lore that is baked into the novel It, and the town history and all those different chapters, like, of the history of Derry, and how Pennywise has sort of always been there, always instigating and pulling out humanity's worst instincts. And so I'm so excited for the idea of the series Welcome to Derry, because that's exactly the type of show that I've always wanted for, let's say, The Shining, right? And we talked about it last time we talked about it, but like there was a series that was about the Overlook Hotel that got really close. It's the one thing that is so frustrating when you watch like Mike Flanagan's director's cut for Doctor Sleep. You're just like, why was this not a mini series? Like, there's so much material here. You might just let him make 8 episodes. It's really, as a fan, and also as somebody who just like, I love adaptation. Now that I have done it, I'm obsessed with it. I'm in love with it. I think it's so fun. Granted, I did the adaptation sort of on my own, so I didn't have anybody giving me like, I wasn't for hire, so I wasn't working, it was my own pitch, my own project, my own whatever. But adaptation is just so much fun. And then, of course, you guys know I've talked about A Shining Example, which is the short film that I directed that is essentially The Shining with a mom, right? And so, anyway, this is all to say, sorry, Mirror Domains, I didn't really answer this question. I really, really like the new Pet Cemetery movie, even though Dennis and Kevin are my friends. I love the big change they made, which I won't tell you what it is if you haven't seen it, but I think it was a stroke of brilliance. And I also know, with respect to the prequel, honestly, I didn't mind it. I kind of liked it. It's one of my favorite little parts of the book. I like that little story in the book. I think that was a really smart way to go about, doing more in the Pet Cemetery universe without just continuing to remake the movie over and over again. So, I know that I'm in the minority there, but okay, clearly I can talk all about this. M. Santiago says the hard thing about adapting Stephen King is that much of his novels are interior character development, so much exposition as to why they are the way they are. It's hard to convey that on the screen. Totally. This is why I do think like there is a happy medium between, it being appropriate and making sense for there to be like more space and time to tell the story, and also having to trim that stuff away and like know what makes sense for the adaptation. I haven't, Alvi, seen Storm of the Century, but I know people really, really, really like that one. Nicholas says Steven Weber is a true genius at everything he can do. I totally agree. He can do it all. I totally, totally agree. I love Steven Weber. I'm a huge fan. Bronson Pinchot is great in the Langoliers, which needs an update for sure. It and The Stand are god tier books, masterclasses in character development. What's wrong with the narration of Mindhunter? I think Toy Monkeys and Annabelle should get married. Oh, ZSH. That's so sweet. And they could both be at the top of the cake. They're both small enough to fit at the top of the cake. We got the monkey and we got Annabelle, and they're happily ever after. I like that too. Let's see. Mike Joy says, I like the remake too, but I've never seen the original. I do think that the original, I think what you're talking about, Mike, is Pet Cemetery. And I think that the original, and look, God bless Mary Lambert, one of like, 2 women to ever get to adapt Stephen King. Kimberly Pierce, Mary Lambert. Are there more? I mean, it's just like, it is kind of crazy where I'm like, really, of all the Stephen King adaptations, but I digress. I think that it is of its time. I think The original Pet Sematary adaptation is very of its time, and I think the performances are very of their time. But it was really important, and as you know, as Mirror Domain says, Zelda from the original is still, I mean, that character and that interpretation, I know, scared so many people. So you know, it's all good. I've never seen or read, or I've never read Nightmares and Dreams. Oh, actually, wait a minute, that's not true. I think I've read a handful of Nightmares and Dreamscapes. I have not finished 11/23/63. That's what got me to listen to the It audiobook. Awesome. Not me evangelizing after all these years. I started 11/23/63 and I was really enjoying it. And I think I just kind of was like, I think I ran out of time on my library rental. Nicholas says, I love Pet Sematary. The original movie scarred me for life. Yeah. Andrew Thomas, we love Wings. We love Stephen and Wings. M. Santiago says, I've read Pet Sematary and I'm genuinely confused how much people love it. I'm clearly missing something. Oh, how interesting. You know what? Okay. I've got one of those, M. Santiago, and it is, why am I going blank all of a sudden? You said Pet Sematary. Oh, Salem's Lot. I think, you know, Stephen King, I love you. I've talked about you many, 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 many times on over the years. Stephen King, if you're watching this, which you're not, please watch A Shining Example. I'll send you a link. But I think Salem's Lot is just a bad book. I think it is a bad book. And I love the history. I love the pre-story that he wrote. Jerusalem's Lot, love. I fascinating. I watched Chapelwaite with Adrian Brody. Really enjoyed that series. Very disappointed we're not getting a season 2. I do think though that part of the reason I don't like Salem's Lot is because, one, it is very, very early in King's career. And I think kind of his bad impulses about like female characters and this and that, whatever, are really on display. But also, I think it is, and I actually, this is going to sound really, really sweaty, but please go with me. I've read Salem's Lot twice. I read it once on my own, and then my book club read it, and I was like, all right, I need to read this again. I'm so hard on it. Maybe I just read it at a bad time and now I need to like try it again. And that was not the case. I don't like that book. Nonetheless, the intro to Salem's Lot is really, really, really wonderful. It's honestly some of my favorite Stephen King writing. And I quote it all the time. If you've ever heard me say good trash, it is because in the intro to Salem's Lot, Stephen King talks about growing up reading EC comics, reading Dracula, you know, and how his mother always encouraged him to read. And, you know, even if she would sort of pass judgment and say like, well, that's trash, but then she'd say, but it's good trash. And so he was saying how he hopes that Salem's Lot kind of would make his mother proud in that he wrote some really good trash. And so I use that line all the time. I think it's a wonderful way to explain a type of storytelling. But yeah, I do think part of the reason I struggle with Salem's Lot is because I don't love Dracula. Like, and we kind of talked about this with Nosferatu the other day. Like Bram Stoker's Dracula is just very challenging. It's very hard to read. And Stephen King actually, and gosh, now I don't remember. It was in a book I read very recently that was a Stephen King book, but he has this like, it is Fairy Tale. Wait a minute. Who brought up Fairy Tale? Which I love. And I also think would make a wonderful mini series. But it's in Fairy Tale. He talks about how Charlie, the main character in Fairy Tale, has this girlfriend, or this girl that is his friend, that is this sort of goth girl who's like trying to get him and gets him into reading horror. And there's this one very weird kind of like snarky comment that he makes about how Mary Shelley's Frankenstein is overrated or like trite or something like that, but Dracula's the real horror fiction. And I was like, Stephen King, excuse me, incorrect, first of all, but Stephen King really has an affinity for Dracula that I do not have. So I think that also probably is why, Salem's Lot doesn't do it for me. Wow, this is a very long journey that we all just went on. Thank you for indulging me, because I can talk about Stephen King for a very long time. M. Santiago says, I wasn't the biggest fan of Salem's Lot either. Didn't hate it, but also didn't understand the hype. I think, too, a lot of people really love Salem's Lot because of the Tobe Hooper miniseries. I think that is such a formative kid horror experience, and I totally get that. Those visuals are scary and haunting, and especially at that time, like, kind of, you hadn't seen anything like that, especially with children. Like, I really, really get it. But I do think that people's memories of the Tobe Hooper miniseries adaptation of Salem's Lot kind of inform a lot of like the love for Salem's Lot. That said, though, I was on another podcast on Halloween this year. Most of my work comes around Halloween, you know what I mean? But I was on Nerdist's podcast with Kyle Anderson called Laser Focus, and we talked about horror adaptations. And what really instigated this was the Gary Dauberman's Salem's Lot, which I would be so curious to get Gary's take, kind of the way that William Eubank talked last night about Underwater and the delays and like working with the studio and like finally getting the movie out. I would love to hear Gary's take and opinion on what happened with Salem's Lot, because it was so weird, the whole thing. But nonetheless, Kyle Anderson loves the novel Salem's Lot. So different strokes for different folks. All right. This has been a really long Stephen King corner. Thank you for indulging me. Thank you so much. Short story collection is where he really shines. I love Salem's Lot, but was also early King, The Stand. Yeah, Alvy. And you know what? Here, I'll tell you another little secret, and then I'll get off of this. But I don't like The Stand. I've tried to read it multiple times, and I just don't like it. But you know what it is? I can tell you exactly what it is. I don't like the characters. I don't like any single character in The Stand. Not one. Not one. If you want to watch something that will blow your mind, and I say this as somebody who has been friendly with, or am dear friends with Jill Killington and love her, Nate Lee, they two writers on the CBS adaptation of The Stand that just came out in 2020, and really, really like Josh Boone a lot, and know that there were a lot of cooks in that kitchen. But if you want to watch something that will blow your mind, Ezra Miller's performance as Trash Can Man. That's all I'm going to say. In the year of our Lord, 2020. Could not believe that. It was wild. Anyway, let's move on. Okay, speaking of Friends, are you going to Brennan and Chloe's Leica Fest this weekend? Unfortunately, ZSH, I am not. They scheduled it for a night that I already had tickets to a comedy show. How dare they not check with me first? I do need to RSVP, though. All right, so we did Stephen King Corner. Do you think I could do a whole show about Stephen King? I really think I could. What else do we have in our little list today? Oh, well, I thought this was kind of fun. I'll be curious. Now, actually, I would like your opinion, team. Casting news. Joel McHale joins Screen 7 as Sidney Prescott's husband. Now, first of all, I read in this article that this movie is shooting currently in Atlanta, to which I said, why didn't I get to audition? I didn't get an audition. Very rude. But like, I just with the Scream, I think that this is a really interesting take. Kevin is directing himself, which is good. I think he deserves that. And I'm definitely not talking about, oh, and he's directing from a script by Guy Busick. Okay, cool. So I don't want to necessarily get into all the kerfuffle about Scream and whatever. I don't want to get into that. But what I am curious about, I like this take in theory about Sydney Prescott. She has a husband. It's not Detective Mark Kincaid of Scream 3, has been speculated online. The character of Mark Evans, what? That's so funny. I know someone named Mark Evans, is played by Joel McHale, who's currently in production on the film in Atlanta. So, like, I don't know. Wait. Sorry, chat. I lost you for a minute. I got excited and I got distracted. I know. So Mirror Domain says, no, I thought Patrick Dempsey was gonna be the husband. I could see that working. Also, yes, put me in the movie. Thank you, Stephanie. Appreciate you. Thank you for forgiving my digressions. Consider doing a Stephen King show. Maybe we could do that on Patreon. Maybe that could be like one of our special. Oh, maybe that would be a fun Wolf's Call for our patrons. That could be fun. Very interesting. Andrew Thomas says, my introduction to Joel McHale was The Soup. Same. That's how I knew him too. I can't wait for the Community movie. Andrew, bad news, my dear. I don't know if that Community movie is happening. But you know what? Never say never. ZSH says, I feel like Stephen King's actually a pretty talented guy. You know, you might be onto something, ZSH. Joel McHale is so ghost-face coded that he can't possibly be the killer. He will be the only one I don't suspect. I feel like if they could get Patrick Dempsey, just don't know how to have Sydney's husband in the movie, maybe they're having an affair. Who knows? Who could say? Joel McHale is good casting. He's proven he can do horror with It's a Wonderful Knife, and I'm glad he's staying in the genre. Totally agree. I love Joel McHale in anything. I think he's a very good actor. The first time I saw him in a non-comedy role, he's actually really good buddies with Scott Derrickson. And he was in that movie with Eric Bana called Deliver Us from Evil. And he plays a cop. And I remember he was ripped in the movie. And at that time, he was ripped. I don't even know if Community was out yet, but he was definitely known for comedy at that point. And I remember being like, Joel McHale's great in this movie. Also, is he hot? Like, he's kind of hot. And and then he's been bouncing around in genre ever since. Oh, now this is interesting, Mirror Domains. I'm calling Mason Gooding will be in the opener like Cotton in Scream 3. That's interesting. I mean, here's my thing with that though, Mirror Domains. I think that that's like a really, really good, that's a really good idea, but he was so close to dying in the last movie. And honestly, and I love Mason Gooding. Like, I really, really, really am becoming a big fan of his. I think he's a wonderful romantic lead. He's so charming. But I thought that his sequence, I'm just going to say this, if you haven't seen Scream, what is it, 6, I guess, where they're in New York, then plug your ears, spoilies. But Mason Gooding's character was like dead. Like, he should have been dead. And it was such a wonderful sacrifice. It was such a great sequence, and it really made him, or his character, a real hero. I thought it was beautiful. And then nobody died in that movie. Like, nobody died. And I kind of was like, ugh. So they saved him. So if they bring him back to only kill him in the opening, that would be a choice. That would be a wild, wild choice. Let's see. Yep, Hard Eyes. He's going to be great in Hard Eyes. We're definitely trying to get, and we'll likely have Michael Kennedy on the show. he's coming. Yay. That'll be really fun. I've got him booked, so fingers crossed. Oh, and now M. Santiago says I'm almost certain Mason is going to be the opening, and I'm not happy about it. I hope I'm wrong. I love Chad Meeks. Huh. So a lot of you really like this theory, huh? Okay, that's fair. Yeah, I stopped with Scream after 3. Is it worth picking up again? I mean, listen, there are a lot of people who really love Scream 4. I don't. I think it's fine. I've given it so many chances, and I think it's fine. Scream 5, I really like. It's like The Force Awakens, right? You just have to sort of start. There's a lot of fan service, but also tell your own story, like set the franchise right. And then, yeah, my issue with Scream 6 was simply that the franchise got so big that they just wouldn't kill any of the characters. So none of the stakes felt very real, you know? So I'm hopeful that actually, fam, I wonder how much the kids from the first movie are even going to be in this movie, because it really seems like they are focusing on Sydney, her family, her husband, like her kid, probably her kids. Let's see, actually. Yeah, McKenna, here we go. Okay, so yes, Courtney Cox, we know, is back. Mason Gooding, we know, who play legacy characters, as well as newcomers Isabel May, Celeste O'Connor, Asa German, McKenna Grace, Sam Reckner, and Anna Camp. While May is playing the daughter of Prescott, further character details and new additions are under wraps. So wait a minute. Let's look up Isabel May. I'm just really curious. Okay, so she's clearly a teen. Okay, that's interesting. Cause yeah, and I mean that makes sense for Sydney's age for sure. I bring this up because I'm kind of just like more teens, you know? Of course, there's got to be teens. Is McKenna Grace a kid still? I know that sounds really silly, but they grow up so fast. Let's look her up. 18. Yeah, so she's still playing young. I really like McKenna Grace. I've seen her in a lot of things. She's in a lot of things. She's lovely. Anyway, all right. This was a good. So yeah, so I think that this is probably going to focus more on Sydney and her family and less about the legacy characters. I think, except for Gail, because Gail essentially at this point is family. So I do think that Courtney Cox is going to like really be there, but I don't know how much Mason Gooding is going to be around, you know? Let's see. That's okay, Roni, by the way. No judgment. I'm glad you love Scream 4. I want you to love Scream 4. Steve says, I really love Scream 6. I'm on Team Stu Lives. Okay. Mirror Domains. Did we talk about this on Fear HQ? We may have. I was banging that drum the whole time. I thought for sure in Scream 6 that yes, you can have like the teen killings, right? You have the young people who are our killers, which I guess I won't say who it is, but you can watch the movie and figure it out. But I thought for sure they were like, we met on a message board, we did this, and I was like, and the final climax happens at Stu's house. I was like, there is no way Matthew Lillard is not popping out of this closet. I totally am with you. I would have bet money. I would have bet so much money that Matthew Lillard was there, and he sure wasn't. Steve says, Stu is dead. Get over it. No, I won't. I assumed the big four from the previous 2 movies were all gone. Yeah, no, Mason. And I think Journey might be back, but it wasn't in that article. Let's see. Nicholas says, I gave Scream 4 about 4 chances before it finally won me over. And what did it was a midnight movie at home before the 5th movie. I understand why people don't like it, though. Hashtag Stu Lives. That's really funny. After everyone surviving surviving 6, Stu can be alive. I won't be mad. Let's see. No, I don't know about when Fantastic Fest badges will go on sale. I do not. But usually, actually, they go on sale in the spring. Just a little tidbit. Hashtag not sponsored. Okay, we can move on from this casting news. I think it's fun. Again, really not happy that I didn't get to audition for Scream that is shooting in Atlanta, but I forgive you, Kevin Williamson. Should we do, let's see. Let's do Daredevil. I need your opinions on this, team. Okay. My college professor's daughter was Deputy Judy in Scream 4. M. Santiago. That's great. That's a great part. That's a great part for her. Okay, let's talk about Daredevil. Let's talk about Daredevil Born Again. How are you all feeling about this? Let's watch the trailer. I do want to watch the trailer, but I am so behind. And I figured that we could you all could kind of walk me through this. So, admittedly, the MCU on Disney Plus, there's a lot, right? There is a lot. And I wanted to confirm, aside from She-Hulk, have we seen Charlie Cox as Daredevil since the Netflix series? So I'm going to repeat myself. Since the Netflix series Daredevil, have we seen Charlie Cox as the character aside from She-Hulk? Tell me, do you guys know the answer? What are your thoughts? No Way Home. Okay. Admittedly, I am very behind on my Spider-Man movies. Oh, he was in. So he's in. Okay. I guess I forgot. He was in Spider-Man No Way Home. Okay. Yeah, this is. I don't know if he was in Echo. Okay. Got it. What else do we have? Here's the thing. I haven't watched Defenders, Daredevil Season 3, or Echo. I would love to watch this, but I don't want to do the homework. You know what, M. Santiago? I think that what you're tapping into is something that Marvel's gonna really have to pay attention to, because I am with you. I have not watched all the series. I don't really know where we are. I'm really lost. And so I think the question is I think it's appropriate to be like, okay, can you expect the audience to watch Daredevil, the couple of seasons of Daredevil before to catch up? Yes, I think that makes sense. But with all of the other stuff, I think it's really easy to get lost if you're not there. So chat is saying Matt Murdock, but as Matt Murdock in Spider-Man, not in costume. Oh, that's interesting. Mirror Domains and Chris say he appears in the first episode of Echo in a quick flashback. Gishgali says Defenders, it was terrible, but if you watch Daredevil Season 3, you are fine. Roni says the season is 8 years after the last one, so I'm sure it will be a good starting point because they need to catch up everyone. Yeah, I have to imagine that's the case, right? Because honestly, y'all, I really, really like Charlie Cox. I really like Vincent D'Onofrio. I like these characters. I like this casting. But yeah, it's been a really long time. And I want to return. This is of all the things, Agatha and this are the ones that would bring me back to the MCU in terms of TV. But I just I'm worried that I won't be able to catch up. Wait a minute. What's going on? This is not let's close this. Okay. So, do you guys want to watch the trailer? How do you guys want to watch the trailer? Andrew Thomas says, I will be watching Netflix Daredevil to review in February and March. That's awesome. That'll be great for your YouTube channel. We need to see D'Onofrio's Kingpin on the big screen. I don't disagree. Okay, so I haven't watched this trailer yet, or this teaser, but I think we should, right? Wait, where is it? Oh, here we go. And is Drew Goddard still show running? It's in my information. It's in the article. Let's see. Okay. Da da da. Tense coffee meeting. Okay, they're explaining the trailer. That's fine. We will watch it up for ourselves. In September 2023, Daredevil. Oh no. In September 2023, Daredevil Born Again. Oh my gosh, what is going on? Hit the reset button and overhauled its planned 18-episode series after early footage failed to meet Marvel Studios' expectations. Oh. The Punisher writer, Dario Scardapane, was brought on as the new showrunner. Okay, so not Drew Goddard. And it was soon decided that the isolated Marvel universe that once resided on Netflix would become canon. Okay, great. Here's our cast. Oh, yay, John Bernthal. Oh, I love him. Anything John Bernthal wants to do, I'm here for. You all know, Team Shane, all the way. Okay. Da-da-da. I always want to watch the trailer. Da-da-da-da. Okay, cool. Let's watch it. Here we go.
Thank you for finding the time.
I will admit, it's not entirely unpleasant seeing you again. A lot of time has passed. By the look of it, you've come up in the world.
Okay, I recognize
I
all
can say the
these.
same about you.
A mayor serves his city. I can see you're not entirely convinced.
Kingpin kind of looks like Daddy Warbucks. Is that just me? Is that kind of universally accepted that he looks like Daddy Warbucks? I don't think Drew Goddard even finished. Oh, okay. That's interesting. Love this menacing version of Kingpin. Yeah, I agree. Okay, sorry.
Can you blame me? I can't shake the feeling that you're gaming the system.
Why did you stop being a vigilante?
The line was crossed.
It's hard to come to terms with a violent nature. Hating the power it has over us.
March 4th. Oh no, it's coming so fast.
unchecked.
Sometimes peace needs to be broken. Chaos must reign.
Oh,
Am I putting the hatchet down?
Johnny B.
I was raised to believe in grace. But I was also raised to believe in retribution.
Okay. Oh, yes. Oh, wait. Oh, no. I love that trailer. That's great. Okay, so sorry, chat. Let's see what you all have to say. Chris says, yeah, the early footage descriptions were wild. They weren't going to have Matt suit up as Daredevil again until much later. They also weren't going to bring back Karen and Froggy. Oh, that's weird. Wonder why they were doing it that way. This is M. Santiago. I mean, if you watched it, I don't know if you watched Fear HQ or not, but it's just a little inside joke that I always kind of came to Shane's defense on The Walking Dead, but I think secretly it's just because I love John Bernthal so much. Okay, they need to do a Kingpin series like Penguin. That's cool. That's really cool. Yeah, no, I know exactly what you mean. Roni says that's let's see. That's what I mean with they need to catch up everyone, like a line was crossed. That didn't happen in the Netflix show. Oh. Say more. I thought that I just like was not remembering what was happening, or maybe I didn't watch season 3 and I didn't know what they were referring to. But or is that sort of what's setting up the season? Uh yeah, Matt Murdock is big mad. Uh like the tone of Born Again, no walk of shame here. I'm looking at you, She-Hulk or She-Hulk. So this is a big time jump. Okay, well, let's see. Hold on. Let's see what the article says. Maybe the article will answer our questions. By the way, I hope you all enjoyed going on these fact-finding missions with me, because I like that we're kind of all doing it together. But anyway, okay. Violent streak. A line was okay. As their past identities begin to emerge, both men appear okay. We talked about that. We read that. No, it doesn't reference what that is. Uh-oh, y'all. I'm gonna sneeze. Sorry about that. Does anyone in chat know what that is in reference to? The a line was crossed. Or is it a surprise? Like, maybe will we find out in the pilot? But I like this. I'm interested in this. I want to know more. Oh. This is going to be the interesting, because they filmed like 80% and then reshot it. And I mean, certainly it's not 18 episodes, right? Like, this is going to be probably what, 9? 8 episodes maybe? Because 18 episodes, I mean, an 18 episode series, that's a lot of episodes. I love that. But yeah. Well, this is cool. I'm still excited about it nonetheless. Yeah, they'll probably explain what the line being crossed was throughout the season. Chris says, I think the line is going to be the story, the mystery going into the season. Okay. Gishgali says, I think the original plan was that Matt blipped, but Froggy and Karen did not. So their characters were killed by their enemies without Daredevil around to protect them. Oh, like in the snap? They should do a time jump. They should do a time jump like Greta Gerwig with Little Women, or just do a Daredevil version of Little Women. Please. I love that. That's fun. I would honestly, I would love to see what an episode of Daredevil directed by Greta Gerwig looks like. I bet that would be rad. The other 9 episodes is season 2. Oh, I see. So they still shot. Got you. Understood. Thank you. Okay, cool. Well, yeah, I think that's really promising. I'm actually really, really excited to watch this. Now, let's have a little grandma corner here. Where can I watch Daredevil season 1? It's on Disney Plus, right? Yes. Okay, got you. So it's not on Netflix anymore. Oh, wait. Watch Marvel's Daredevil. That's a trick, right? Or is it on both? Do you guys know? She hasn't missed yet. Oh, this is good. Chris says Matt's appearance in Echo was during the blip, so it shows that he wasn't snapped. Disney Plus. Yeah, Deadlink. Okay, cool. Cool. Great. I love it. Ready for it. Ready for some more Daredevil. What else did I have? Are you guys fans? Are you guys at all interested in this show? I'll tell you, I watched season 1 and I was just like, this show is wonderful. I loved it so much. I loved season 1. And then, as much as I love Victoria Pedretti, I did not like season 2. I couldn't get into it. I couldn't finish it. But now here we are in season 5. What's happening? Love Penn Badgley, though. He's so good. Everyone from Gossip Girl is having a moment right now, huh? Give it up for Adam Brody and Penn Badgley. 5th and final season. Let's see. Joe Goldberg is going back to his roots. Oh, he returns to New York. Yes. So where I left off was in season 2. He had fled to Los Angeles. But now there has been 2 seasons in between that. In the epic 5th and final season, Joe Goldberg returns to New York to enjoy his happily ever after until his perfect life is threatened by the ghosts of one of his past and his own dark desires. Interesting. I lived like 2 blocks away from Joe's apartment in season 2. Oh, that's so funny. Okay, so I'm curious about that. Let's do the trailer actually for Until Dawn. Because we talked about it, watched a little preview the other day, and now oh no. Oh, well actually Gishgali, you joke. I have that article ready. We definitely need to talk about the special ambassadors. And how do I get on that committee? I think I know the answer. Your browser has lost connection. Oh no. Try sharing the screen again. I think I have too many tabs open. StreamYard's like too many tabs. tab. Okay. So we've got that. Let's try. Tell me, you all hear this? Did you guys hear the bang and the bang? Because I got a little notice saying that I lost the sound connection on my tabs. My tabs were a little too much for StreamYard. All right. I think the concept, let's see. M. Santiago says, I think the concept of Until Dawn is a super awesome twist on time loops, but I hate that they called it Until Dawn. Name it something else. It has nothing to do with the game. Interesting. And Roni says, a lot of people are mad. It is not the story of the game, but telling a 10-hour cinematic game and constraints of a movie would only be a downgrade. I like the concept. Okay, let's watch the trailer. Here we go. Ooh. Uh-oh. Oh, okay. Ooh, this must be a Red Band trailer too. They didn't tell me that. No sound. Oh, I'm sorry, y'all. Okay, I'm so sorry. Sorry. Silent movie. Okay, sorry, my fault. Until Dawn. Let's try this again. It said I just needed to redo the browser. Okay. Let's do this. Present, share screen. Here we go. Share. Okay, how about now? How about now? Could you hear that? Da, da, da. Subtitles help. No, still no. Oh, sorry. Nothing. No. Let's see. What about
She's gone missing.
I didn't say that. Do a lot of people go missing around here?
okay, what about now that you can see it? Rats. I'm sorry. Oh, we got a yup. Okay, it works. Sorry about that, y'all. Thank you for your help. This is good. Let's start it over. Third time's a charm.
I'm looking for my sister. Does she look familiar to you?
She's gone missing.
I didn't say that. Do a lot of people go missing around here?
Okay, I'm sorry. I do need to pause for just a second. I don't think it's a big tell that she said I'm looking for my sister and he goes, "Oh, she went missing?" And she's like, "Well, I didn't say that." And I'm like, "Well, ma'am, I mean, clearly you're looking for her, so she's missing, right?" I just don't think that's a big tell is all. But
Up the road. That's where people get into trouble.
Those were the first people here in years.
Looks like
oh,
it's
Peter Stormare was also in the game.
Weird.
That's my sister's signature. Oh, shit.
guys, check it out.
What happened to these people?
Where's my car?
Where's Megan?
What the fuck just happened? We all got fucking murdered. And now we're here again.
So the night is just gonna repeat itself.
I don't remember that happening last time.
Okay, but wait. Hold on. I'm sorry, but I have to pause and ask a question. If you don't if they're like, "Oh no, we're getting murdered and now we're awake again. We're just going to keep getting murdered." But it's like, but you're awake. So doesn't that make it less scary? Maybe I'm missing the rules of this.
Holy shit. Every night, something new is trying to kill us.
What is that?
How many more deaths do you have in you?
Nobody's made it past 13 nights.
Okay, that's good to know. That's good intel.
If we want to survive, we have to make it until dawn. What is that?
He's gonna have
I'm just gonna grab it. Don't move.
yeah. Oh, what? Is it gone?
Yeah, it's gone.
It's still on my face.
Oh, that's funny. That's great. I love it. That was fun. So you're probably getting killed. Okay. A bit like Cabin in the Woods mixed with Escape Room. Not if you're getting killed in every loop. That's probably worse than dying once. I like that it's a new horror genre each loop. Yeah, I think that does look fun too. And I think it's a cool concept. I think that it also it reminded me of Cabin in the Woods as well. And it's good that they have the device or the framing of, okay, 13 deaths, 13 kills, gotta survive. I hope that there's a moment where they keep waking up and they start to have fun with it, because I think that is something that comes with every Groundhog Day style movie where the protagonist is empowered and they're like, I don't care, I'm gonna wake up tomorrow. Whether it's like Groundhog Day, whether it is Happy Death Day, even. So, and knowing David Sandberg and Gary Doberman's work, I'm sure that there's gonna have a little bit of a sense of humor. Looks fun, but not the game. I just think it's weird they call it Until Dawn. And then, of course, if you're me, you're like, I don't know anything about Until Dawn. This could be exactly the thing. Like, I don't know. Chase Crawford, love. He's so funny. You guys know how I feel about him as the Deep. He's like my favorite. He's my favorite part of The Boys for sure. Yeah, a lot of time loop movies. Oh yeah, 13 Must Be Relevant. It's Taylor Swift's favorite number. It has potential. Usually horror movies from Sony are hit and miss, but this one looks spooky and fun. And I've never played the game, so I have nothing to compare it to. Yeah, same. Although I do think that it's cool. Like Sony and Screen Gems are really kind of doubling down and like or investing in horror. And I think that and you know what? Actually, Gary Doberman's new deal is with Sony. So now that he's no longer at Warner Brothers, he's there. So I think this is a cool test. And similarly, David Sandberg, I mean, he was a Warner Brothers guy for all those years too, and now he's elsewhere. So kind of telling, kind of interesting. It seems like it's going to be really fun. I wonder when is it March? When does it come out? Oh, maybe they should have put that in the description of like when it comes out. Yeah, but fun nonetheless. Oh, and I closed my notes. Rats. Yeah, I closed my notes because something wasn't working. Where are you, notes? Yeah, I think we've got a good. Okay, here's a question for you all. This was a very horror heavy episode. So, what are some non-horror things? Because I always check Variety, I check Deadline, I check The Hollywood Reporter. Are there any like non-genre things that jumped out at you? Wait. Goonies and the Gremlins. Let's do this. So this was kind of a little sneaky nugget. IMDb says expected April 25th. Can you suggest a procedure for sending you suggesting stories? I found an interesting story about a woman who wrote a book about women filmmakers and witches in film. I know exactly what you're talking about. I've seen that bouncing around Blue Sky. Yes. Let's think about a way for you guys to submit stories. I love that. I'm thinking Patreon would be a good way. Maybe what I'll do is at the start of the week, I will do a post and on Patreon that says, and it'll be open for everyone, even free users or free members. And it'll say like, add your stories here. Yeah. And then we can talk about them that way. I think that's good. We'll do it like that. Oh yeah, in the Discord. I have a Discord. Oh my gosh, you're right. And that's part of it too. Y'all, I'm sorry. You know how I am. Just waiting for a new Friday the 13th. It's been I owe everybody I owe people a Discord link. I set it up and everything and I just didn't send it. Shame on me. Okay. Let's do one more. And it is about Goonies and Gremlins. It's kind of a little bit of a non-story, but it's also not because I think Chris Columbus is like really getting back at it. Here. And this is also a good like industry talk little segment. So yeah, this is interesting. Okay, good. I like this. This is going to be a good one to close on. Stage. Okay. So let's talk a little bit about Warner Brothers just in general, because Warner Brothers used to have a reputation of being like very, and anybody please like correct me if I'm wrong, but Warner Brothers used to be like a very director friend. Like it was like that was their thing, was directors come to us. We are very director forward. We support our directors and their vision, and like we want you to come to us and feel safe here to like explore your creativity. And then Warner Brothers was sold, and there were a lot of different whatever, and then David Zaslav seems to have a different approach, let's say, to making films than maybe Warner Brothers used to have. I don't think that David Zaslav appears to be very creator friendly. I think he seems to be whatever the opposite of that is. So this was a really interesting article, I think. I think New Gremlins would be awesome. I think they need to leave the Goonies alone. I agree. As annoying to who is this about? I don't know what we're be helpful until you get a producer. Yes, exactly. I know you mentioned this before, but I know I mentioned this before, but I went to Drinks with Data and Chunk. Oh, that's fun. He makes, I know, right? So Roni, this is the thing. Warner Brothers definitely has a little bit of a, I think has a little bit of a reputation issue right now. Like for instance, when I saw Tom Cruise took his deal over to Warner Brothers, or I saw Margot Robbie took her company over to Warner Brothers, part of me was like, well, this is like, and there was a lot of speculation, I think, at that time, like, this is just a ploy. This is a ploy to make Warner Brothers more valuable just so that Discovery can sell it. And I believe, and certainly, like, gosh, I think the way they have handled, I mean, the betrayal of Batgirl, the betrayal of, you know, even the whole kerfuffle with just all of the bouncing around and the back and forth, the stuff with Coyote versus Acme, I think is trash. I think it is the worst. I think it is the worst of our industry. I think it is. It makes me furious. It makes me so angry. And I still have never gotten a straight answer about why Warner Brothers thinks that what they can do is in terms of just scrapping and deleting an entire movie for a tax write-off. I still don't understand how that's legal. There was also another thing. There was something that happened recently with another studio where they just sort of like begrudgingly released something. And I was like, this is what leads me to believe that this is not a universally agreed upon law, whatever Warner Brothers is doing with this tax write-off BS, because other studios would be doing it too, and they're not. They're not doing it in the same way. And listen, there is a difference between, like, let's say that the Netflix Halle Berry movie that did a bunch of reshoots, it was in post, and they were like, you know what, we're not going to finish this movie. The movie's not done, and we're shelving the movie. Like, in my opinion, that is not the same thing as we have a finished movie and we are refusing to sell it in the case of Coyote versus Acme. And which they say they entertained offers, but there was a lot of sort of buzz about like Warner Brothers was pricing it so high that they knew that they were not going to get that amount. And then on top of that, they actively like declined offers from Amazon and so on. So I still don't believe that across the industry, people think that what Warner Brothers is doing is legal or kosher. But I think that Warner Brothers clearly believes that no one in the government is going to hold them accountable. And so they're just doing it and they don't care and they're willing to burn those bridges. That said, this was a really interesting article from Deadline called Why Warner Brothers Shook Up Its Feature Executive Ranks as It Braces for an Auteur-Driven 2025 Slate. So I love this. I am hopeful for this. I want this to be true. I want this to be successful because of all of the studios in town. Warner Brothers like has my heart. Anytime I'm on the Warner Brothers lot, I'm like, wow. Like, you know, I always feel like, oh man, I'm here. This is cool, you know? So it's been really like, you know, awful. But it's been awful to see how Warner Brothers has been managed over the last handful of years, and anybody who follows my social media knows I do not care for David Zaslav's choices, is a nice way to put it. Anyway, so this article says last week, as the town was grappling with the Palisades and Eaton wildfires, the Warner Brothers Motion Picture Group saw the double exit of linchpin executives, a corporate maneuver that continues to jar many. To say it's a time of change at the Burbank lot is an understatement. The year 2025 marks a time of rebuild for the House of Barbie, with an auteur-charged slate of 13 titles anchored by Superman, James Gunn's feature blast-off to his new DC series. Arguably, it's the first... Okay, so... Arguably, it's the first year that the Motion Picture Group co-chairs and CEOs can entirely call the slate their own since taking the reins in the summer of 2022 without any previous regime blemishes, i.e. The Flash, Furiosa, Aquaman, though the two have been involved in post-production of those titles. Okay, cool. So, sources tell us that it wasn't the duo's intent to have a preponderance of outside signature filmmaker packages on this year's release date calendar. Rather, there was an ambition to restore Warner Brothers as the trusted home for signature filmmakers. That's what we were talking about just a minute ago, especially in the wake of the previous Warner Brothers administration, which aggravated talent reps and talent alike with its controversial pandemic theatrical day release strategy. Okay, so that was like a big thing, obviously. Yeah, so just to reiterate, Powerton says that's why Kubrick worked with them and Nolan originally loved them. Warner Brothers is like what happened after SAG merger. SAG turned from a union for actors. Warner Brothers used to be a studio for directors, but now it's not what they used to be. But I hope that they get back to being a studio of directors that directors would be proud to be a part of. We desperately need a Clarke Us reproved rom-com. I don't disagree with that. Yeah, your lips to Zaslav's ears. Okay, so sources tell us, okay, we talked about this. Great. Now let's get to the Chris Columbus and like get to sort of like the nitty gritty of what all of this actually means. So at a time when the mandate is to create cultural moments from the original works of Paul Thomas Anderson, Maggie Gyllenhaal, Bong Joon-ho, Ryan Coogler, and more, why is the studio letting two execs go who were instrumental in turning Barbie into Warner Brothers' highest grossing movie ever at $1.44 billion worldwide? There's a slew of people around town who are perplexed by the studio's decision to cut Goldstein and Cripps when the slate arguably needs them the most. Yet for those on the lot, a fresh perspective and shift in attitude was required in approaching this year's swing for the fences non-tentpole slate. The previous methods of selling had to change post haste. Okay, cool. So here is Warner Brothers' calendar, starting with Companion, which I saw some initial reviews, a little mixed, but an ambitious project and really interesting. Mickey 17, very excited to see that. I don't know if that's going to be a financial win for the studio, the way they maybe, like, this is the thing, and we've been talking about this kind of periodically over the last couple of weeks. What is the goalpost? What is the measure of success? If the measure of success is it needs to be as big as Barbie at $1.44 billion, I don't think we're going to see quote unquote successes. But if Mickey 17 making, I don't know, $100 million, is that what they're looking for? I don't know. The Alto Nights, we watched that trailer. The trailer was fine. I don't know who that movie is for. I don't know if $100 million worth of audience members are going to go to the theater to see the Robert De Niro movie that, I mean, it's Barry Levinson. Of course, we love that. Robert De Niro, sorry, I knocked the camera. Robert De Niro playing two parts. Like, I don't know. Do we care? I don't know. Minecraft, obviously, that is an IP. So I don't think that necessarily applies to the whole like auteur driven kind of thing. But Sinners, I am super excited for. Love Ryan Coogler, and I love this sort of dipping his toe or this foray into genre storytelling. Final Destination, a new Final Destination, and it's like, okay, well, that's IP. F1, that's the Brad Pitt race car movie, so like also okay. Superman, we know what that is. PTA has a new movie, curious to say the least. The Conjuring, Last Rites. I mean, that's the end. Talk about the end of an era for Warner Brothers and New Line. James isn't even over there anymore. James is now and Blumhouse. Sorry, what is chat saying? Yeah, we talked about this. Like we didn't kind of know what to make of it. They loved Companion. Okay, but well, not but. Great. I hope that I love it too. They loved a movie. I will say they loved, and I love James and Chelsea. But I will say they loved a movie that they gave it this great review, and I went and saw it because they were so excited about it within the horror space. And then I saw it and I was like, it's fine. I don't know. So we'll see. Yeah. Another Mr. Lizard says there's a lot riding on Superman. Absolutely. Let's see. F1 is, yeah, that's the thing. Like it costs $300 million and then you have to advertise it. But this is good. This is a good point, Nicholas. F1 is also co-financed by Apple, if I'm not wrong. So they wouldn't lose that much if so. Yeah, that's a really good point if that's true. Yeah, so The Conjuring, The Last Rites, I don't know. I don't know about that. I really like Michael Chops. And you know what? I know this is going to sound silly, but I didn't love The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It, but that was honestly more because if I had been in charge of The Conjuring proper, like Ed and Lorraine, I would have gotten away from this demonic possession. We've seen it so many times, and we've seen it so many times within the Conjuring universe that for me, it wasn't any of the thing with the directing that I didn't like with The Conjuring, Devil Made Me Do It. It was the story. I thought the satanic panic thing of like, and also the satanic panic was warranted. I was like, what kind of messaging is this? This is very weird. But that said, I actually really, really loved what Michael did with The Nun 2. Of all things, I know it sounds crazy, but I finally watched The Nun 2 last year, and I was like, this is actually has some great scares in it. It has some great sequences. Characters actually die. You know, that's my thing with horror right now, and horror franchises, I guess, more specifically, is like if you're not willing to kill your characters, then I can't get invested in this movie because it means nothing. And so The Nun 2, like The Conjuring, and The Conjuring is a very, very like a bad culprit of that. They are putting people in mortal danger, but they are not willing to actually put people in mortal danger. Sorry, now I'm going on a big tangent. What does ZSH say? Sadly, Warner, yeah, used to be the best. Yeah, don't disagree there. Most horror movies, you're going to have a pretty healthy box office. The profit and margins on horror can be insane. Yes, and look, that's fine, but not The Conjuring. The Conjuring movies, and not The Conjuring proper. Like maybe you're making an Annabelle movie for $10 million, or you're making a Nun movie for $20 million. Okay, fine. But these like Conjuring proper movies with Patrick and Vera, these are, I think, I would argue, correct me if I'm wrong, these feel like more tent poles, you know, within the horror space versus like the spin-off kind of thing. But you guys tell me if you disagree. Roni said The Nun 2 was great, although the ending was weird considering the canon. Yeah, I mean, you know how I feel about this. You guys know how I feel about The Nun in general. Valak makes no sense. It totally does not. It totally does not make sense with canon. It makes no sense. Valak should not be a thing. The Nun should not be a thing, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Whatever. But anyway, okay. So let's keep going. The Bride. Y'all, now this is where I'm really nervous about The Bride. Not because I don't trust that Maggie Gyllenhaal she's a very good director. And I think that it's great to let her take a stab at this sort of mythology. But that article that came out a couple of weeks ago, kind of describing it as a Fred and Ginger movie, but also Blazing Saddles, but also I was just like, big swing, right? Like that's a big swing. And unfortunately, and I would say that this feels a little bit to me like, I will say that as a woman who loves horror movies or genre movies, we don't even know if The Bride is going to be a horror movie, so that's whatever. But let's call it genre. Anytime we get a big swing and we fail, it makes it that much harder. And the biggest example of this for me is Don't Worry, Darling. I think that like I that movie doesn't work, and it's really frustrating and hard because Olivia is a very good director and she should be allowed to have a swing and a miss. But unfortunately, that's not how it goes. And so I really am nervous about The Bride. Because if it's a swing and a miss and it's a bad swing and a miss, we're just not going to get to play in this sandbox again for a while, and it stinks. But that's my yeah, and to be fair, we all need to see a trailer for The Bride before coming to a judgment. And by the way, the cast is fabulous. The cast of The Bride is fabulous. So you know, I will see it no matter what because Christian Bale is in it. So I anything Christian Bale wants to do, I'm here for. But you know, I've expressed my concerns. Yeah, and like Amra, I think this is also a really good point. Didn't we just have Poor Things somewhat bride-like? I think that is a great point. It is this really unfair expectation, but it's real and it's true. We just had a movie that broad strokes sounds very similar, and it won Oscars and got a huge push. And so the comparison game is going to be inevitable. Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein is coming out around the same time. The comparisons, whether they are fair or not, is going to be inevitable. The Bride is reported to have a budget in the $80 million range. Like, that's so much money. But here's the thing. On the other hand, Maggie deserves, again, Academy Award nominated movie with The Lost Daughter. She obviously got so many accolades and recognition. She deserves to be making these movies that cost real money. And I'm in no way saying that she shouldn't or she doesn't. It's an impossible standard. And I worry for all of us, like in a compassionate way, that the comparison game is just going to be like too strong. And this is a really fair question. I think Poor Things might have been a little too art house for a lot of people. Is it possible The Bride might have a broader appeal? Absolutely. It is absolutely possible. Let's see. Dante's Peak volcano situation, but with monsters. That's really funny. And yeah, I think this is a really good point to kind of close out on. I wish we could get back to mid-range budgeted movies again. Movies are still costing way too much to produce. I don't disagree. It kind of goes back to what we were talking about with Underwater and how this is like Williams specifically said, he was like, I read sometimes online these budget reports, they say what my budget was. And he was like, I can tell you for a fact because I was told you, no matter what, you just cannot go over $50 million. So he was like, so I know for sure that the budget of my movie was $49.99999 million. But anything saying it was a $60 or $70 million movie is incorrect. Hollywood never took any notes from Godzilla -1. Ain't it the truth? So let's close out real fast with just getting to, this is a little bit of it. So that's an overview of what was going on in terms of Warner Brothers. How does any studio executive make sense of a $90 million period plus horror movie title from Ryan Coogler as in Sinners? Again, this is so unfair because Ryan Coogler 1000% deserves to be making $100 million movies. And if they are $90 million movies, and if they are a period horror movie, then he has freaking earned the right to do that because he is an established filmmaker who has so many hits, just hit after hit after hit under his belt. And then, but yeah, an $80 million Maggie Gyllenhaal steampunk horror movie in The Bride, previously $100 million at Netflix. Like, that just is wild. The most expensive Paul Thomas Anderson movie ever, with his untitled Leonardo DiCaprio movie with a price tag between $100 million and $140 million. That's so crazy. That is so crazy. Oh my gosh. That's so wild. But again, like, these people, they've earned it. These filmmakers have totally earned it. Oh my gosh. Okay. I'm just trying to get to, this is wild though, I will say. This is totally wild that the Lost Daughter cost $5 million movies. $5 million. So she went from a $5 million movie to an $80 to $100 million movie. Oh my gosh. Just crazy. Powerton says, Sinners looks great. I can't wait to see it in IMAX. Same. I mean, absolutely same. Like, I'm really optimistic and hopeful for all of this. Same. Sinners, I don't want to know anymore. I saw the trailer before Nosferatu in IMAX. Was awesome. I want to see this movie. I am going to see this movie. I just hope, you know, and you know what, Nicholas? I agree, actually. PTA does his best when his budgets are under 50. I mean, I just rewatched There Will Be Blood, and I was like, this is, to me, I know this is unpopular opinions, but I There Will Be Blood is my favorite of all of his movies. Okay. Anyway, this is to say, this is a really interesting article. Maybe I should have led with it, but this little tidbit here. Franchise hopes down the road in Lord of the Rings, The Hunt for Gollum, which, okay. Practical Magic 2, DC's Clayface from Mike Flanagan, Supergirl from Craig Gillespie, Drew Goddard's incoming script for a new Matrix, and a new Gremlins from Chris Columbus, and a Goonies treatment. So I think you guys said it best in the chat. You know, I'm here for more Gremlins, and I don't know if we need any new Goonies, but we'll see. We'll see. All right, y'all. I think that's good. We had a really fiery show today, huh? Yes, so. Yeah, franchise hopes for projects that no one has been asking for. I mean, I just hope, here's what I hope. No matter what, again, Warner Brothers has my heart. Every time I'm on that lot, I'm like, oh, I'm so lucky to be here. This is so exciting. It's movie magic. It's movie history. But I just hope that they don't get cold feet. They don't look at this slate of, like, you know, supporting and investing in auteurs and go, oh, we made a big mistake. So now everything has to be generic. Everything has to be, you know, simple. Everything has to be franchise based and so on. So yeah, those are my thoughts. Yes. And in conclusion, as Amra says, lots of corners explored. We did. We explored a lot of corners today. All right, y'all. That's gonna do it for us. Thank you all so much for being here. This was super fun. I enjoyed our conversation. This was great. And as a reminder, you can check out the Patreon, patreon.com/Clarke Wolfe. You can join for free. Discord, yes, Discord is coming. It's already set up, so I just have to send it out. And I believe Discord is one of the tiers in the Patreon. So check that out. And we'll see if that makes sense. But for sure, please go ahead and you can add, we'll start doing what Gishgalia suggested, where I'll do a post at the beginning of the week and you can add stories as comments on the Patreon. That is, I think, a really good way to start. And then we'll figure out the Discord and who has access to the Discord and when. So thank you so much, Nicholas. I really appreciate that very much. So yeah, if you haven't already, like the video, subscribe on YouTube, join Patreon if you want. And what else? I think that's it for now. I'll see you next week. If no other, unforeseen circumstances come up, I'll be back with you on Monday. For the rest of January, I think we're going to do like some just chatting, kind of just like we've been doing this month. But February, on Mondays will be interview days. So I've got some really great guests booked for us for February. I think you're going to really like them. I think you're going to get some great insights, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So thank you again, and y'all take care. Thanks for being here, and I'll see you again really soon. Stay safe, and I'll talk to you later. Bye, everyone.